Paul is saying, I'm going to talk about that every ham can hold a special event with a 1x1 call sign. And during this presentation, I will show you how easy it is to do it yourself. So I want to counter their Paul's statement and say that, hey, it's easy and everybody can do it. So go out and do it. That's the goal of this presentation. First of all, who am I? I'm Claus Niesen, AE0S, first licensed in December 2016. Before that, as a kid, I did some CB operation in Germany where I grew up. And my favorite QSO there was DXing with a station in England on AM. In general, I enjoy tinkering around with things. As you can see, I've been using a signal generator as an AM and FM transmitter just because you can, and otherwise it's really a silly thing to do. Lately, I've been playing around with ferrite cores, building common mode current chokes and measuring them and seeing how they perform. And I have some YouTube videos out there. And then I do crazy things like going backwards to work and things like that. Along with the crazy things that I do is I started an amateur radio software award. And that award is a project that I started to promote software projects that enhance and adhere to the spirit of amateur radio, making the software innovative software, free and open software. With that, Kuhn Lin N7DMR from Washington and Rich Gordon Kilo K0EB from Colorado are on the committee, and we are already in our second year of the award. And we gave the award out to Anthony Good for his CW cure, and also to Jordan Shearer for the JS8 call this year. And as part of this Amateur Radio Software Award, we thought of holding a special event on the air. And that's how I got into this whole topics about special event and 1x1 call signs. So first of all, what is a special event? And really, there is no official definition. A special event is anything that you want it to be. The FCC only mentions special events with the special event call signs, so the 1x1 call signs, and more on that later. And the ARRL mentions that a special event is to commemorate historical occasions or other special event. So basically also pretty vague. On their listing, though, they mentioned that they wouldn't accept for special events listings for events that are political or commercial in nature. So with the special events, you probably saw stations that use 1x1 call signs. So if you have been out on HF, you probably heard the 13 Colonies is a big event that is annual, where multiple stations get on the air for the 13 Colonies, and you can contact. Same thing with Route 66 and the 12 Days of Christmas around Christmas. Then there are also smaller events. There was like the 70 years of Heathkit. Museum ships sometimes use 1x1 call signs for the special events, although there are also a number of museum ships that have their dedicated club call signs, and they use that. Then there's some crazy things like the moonshine whiskey special event. I guess in some county where they made moonshine whiskey back in the old days. So you can do a special event about anything. So from the FCC standpoint, the rules around the 1x1 call signs and administration that the FCC tells. So the rules don't specify, as mentioned, what an eligible special event is. by the FCC. Instead, the FCC makes it up to the special event call sign database coordinators. That's a long word. So those special event call sign database coordinators get to determine what is acceptable, and they grant the temporary operation permits for those one-by-one call signs. And who those special event call sign database operators are, it's a subset of the volunteer examiner coordinators, the VECs. And here you see the different logos of those VECs members that are part of the special event call sign database coordinators. On their website, they state that a special event is an event of public significance to the amateur community, amateur radio community. And also that the one-by-one call signs are not there for operating field days or contests. And if you've been around a while on the air, both of those are pretty lenient. You see stations working with one-by-ones on field days or during contests. So it's not that strict, I think, on that. So any licensed amateur radio operator may reserve a one-by-one call signs. And the important part about that is that includes technicians. So you, as a technician, can also apply for a one-by-one call sign and operate with one. So looking at the one-by-one call sign, obviously it's a letter, number, letter. The first letter can be K, N, or W. A is not part of the special event one-by-one call signs. The numbers can be any from 0 to 9, and the last letter can be any from A to Z. The exception is X. And the reason for that is when you have a number followed by an X, that identifies an experimental station. If you want to find out more about the special event call signs, the first place I would recommend you to go to is this website, the 1x1callsigns.org. On the menu, you see that there's an FAQ and some background information about those one-by-one call signs. And what the page that we are seeing here is the search one-by-one calls. So here you can search. In this case, the search result was Kilo 2 Alpha, and it shows you who has that call sign reserved in the future, or currently has it, or has had it in the past. Then on to requesting a call sign. So if you want to request a call sign, you just go to the request link. You type in the call sign that you would like. So I recommend before searching for the call sign, look up if the desired call sign is available for the time that you would like to reserve it. And then you can reserve it. So this makes reserving a one-by-one call sign much easier than the vanity calls, because you reserve it and it's on a first come, first serve basis. So if it's available, you apply for it, and unless for some strange reason you get denied, most likely you get accepted and you get that special event call sign for that time. Under the coordinator, you select the coordinator that you want to use. The first time I used ARRL, and that took about a week to get approved. And this year I used Laurel, and I didn't check until 2 days after, and it was already approved. So times vary depending on the coordinator and probably when they get to it. Other things that you need to specify is when you want to operate under that special event, the from and to date. There you can reserve it up to 15 consecutive days. That's kind of their guidelines on the max. But if you have a good reason, you can request an exception as well to that, and that might be granted. Then you mentioned the name of your special event, and that name, if you look at the prior slide, will be shown on the database. And finally, there's also a description field. That description is not shown publicly. That's just where you can describe what the special event is about for the coordinators in order for them to approve your event. You can reserve the 1x1 call sign 1 year in advance. And there is really no deadline how short of a notice you can reserve. The main part is, does the coordinator get around to it in time for you to operate under that call sign? Just like the FCC, with your normal call sign, when you get the vanity call sign or when you get your license, there is no notification to you that you got approved to operate with the 1x1 call sign. Instead, you just go back to this database and look up, and as soon as you're in the database, you can work during that period that you have that call sign. So for example, right here, that call sign is awarded from August to September, and that got through, and I can operate under that. If you click more details here, then it actually shows you who requested that special event along with their address that you can use for QSL cards. So once you have that 1x1 call sign for your special event, the next thing you want to do is publicity. A good place to start is the ARRL special event listing. They have a website that also lists special events, and there is a little bit more description and also how you send QSL cards back to the special event station. If you are good and you submit it early, then your special event will be also listed in the QST magazine. The main part is that QST is printed, so that's going to take much longer, and you need to list your event 3 months ahead of time for them to be able to publish your event in the QST magazine. So last year when I did it too short, so I just got it into their online ARL database, but not into the magazine. Hopefully this year I was on time and it gets in there. We'll see. Another place that you can publicize is forums like the QRZ forum, social media, that especially that's related to your special event or to amateur radio, and of course your local ham club. So in case you didn't notice, there's a special event coming up. Kilo 1 to Alpha, Kilo 2 Romeo, and Kilo 2 Sierra will be on air from August 27th to September the 5th for the Amateur Radio Software Award. Okay, let's keep on going there. Everybody knows that QRZ is the Facebook of amateur radio. So I really recommend you to create a page on QRZ for the special event station, because during the special event, people will look up your call sign on QRZ to get more information and also to get QSL information, where to send QSL cards or if you are sending out QSL cards and things like that. The one thing to remember is when you set up your QRZ page is to go back to the website that shows you who has your call sign or who has the call sign reserved. And if there's somebody between now and your time when you operate the special event that has the call sign as well, at that point, it doesn't make much sense to set up the QRZ page, because most likely they're going to come around and ask you, hey, we have that special event and we would like the QRZ page. But once there's nobody else that has your call sign, that's one-by-one call sign for your special event between now and then, go ahead and set up the QRZ page. To do that, log into QRZ, click on your username up on the top right, your call sign, go to Accounts, and then scroll down to the Manage Call Sign area. Right on the bottom of the Manage Call Sign is Add Manage Call Sign, and there you can just type in your special event call sign that you'll be operating under and click the Go. If nobody is managing that call sign, then you will be assigned the manager automatically and everything is happy and dandy, and you can set up the QRZ page just like you do your private QRZ page as well. If somebody still is managing it, the first thing to do is to contact them via email that you can find on QRZ and ask them if they could release it, because you're going to operate the special event and you want to set up the page. And as Paul was saying, sometimes that doesn't happen for one reason or another. Maybe you couldn't get a hold of them or they're just kind of stubborn. In those cases, you go to the QRZ forums. They have a forum called Database Helper Forum. And in that forum, you start a new thread. And in that thread, you request for assistance to get the management rights for that call sign. And then the QRZ, are they volunteers or whoever the help out on the QRZ page will get you hooked up so that you can add that one-by-one call sign as a managed call sign. Again, I'm going to send out the slides along with notes, and there will be links to all of the various resources, including a direct link to the forum where you would request help as well. A couple of things about the QRZ page that I want to mention is on your QRZ page, what a lot of people forget to put on is the dates when they actually operate that special event call sign. The reason for that is if you ever worked on a special event, you made a contact, you might not get around right away to look them up and find out the QSL information. And if there's no date, then you don't know whether that is the event that you were talking to or if it's another event. And something you don't want to have is other people to send you QSL card for a contact that you didn't do with them, because now you have their QSL card along with the postage paid envelope, and you just have to hassle around with that and figure out what to do there. So instead, I recommend you put your operating dates for your special event on that QRZ page. Another nice thing that I do, and I would recommend you to do, is just to put on the bottom of the QRZ page of your design, make a line underneath it, and then put the dates and the event name of the prior event along with their QSL information. So if there are some stragglers, they still can find that information as well. I think that's just a nice thing to do. So now it's a time when we operate our special event with the one-by-one call sign. And like any event, you would just go out and call CQ and your special event name. So for example, I would be calling out this for CQ Kilo 2 Alpha special event station for the Amateur Radio Software Award, QRZ. And then just like any other QSO, you can do a simple exchange, just basically your call sign, RST, and be done. Or if you want to, you can exchange more information. You can even go ahead and rag queue. It's really up to you how much you want to do during the QSO. What I do recommend, though, is to mention what the special event station is about. So maybe not every contact, especially if you have a big pileup. I don't mention that during every QSO, but every 5 or so QSOs you can throw in again as a reminder of what the special event is about. So if somebody tunes in, they can know about it. Also, let them know if you do QSL cards or certificates for the special event and what they would have to do to get that QSL card and or certificate. And then also log contacts for the QSO confirmation during the special event, either for your QSL cards or logbook of the vault if you want to do that, anything else. One thing from the FCC, and that's the only thing really that you have to worry about, is under 97.119D. There it states that you have to ID with the call sign that has applied for the 1-by-1 call at least once per hour. So during an hour, I would just ID with my normal call sign as well. Something like Kilo 2 Alpha, IDing from Alpha Echo 0 Sierra or something like that. In Morse code, that would be just Kilo 1 Alpha / AE0S. And I did actually operate a little bit FT8 as well. And how I ID'd there is just in FT8, you can do a custom string. And I used the custom string K1A space ID space AE0S. And then I just send that out every now and then between the QSOs, just to make the FCC happy. One thing I want to talk about is if you operate multiple operators. So just like we do during field days, multiple people could use the 1-by-1 call sign. And during our first operation of the special event, that's of the amateur radio software vault, that's what we did. We had Kilo 1 Alpha, and we operated that call sign out of 3 different locations. The one thing about IDing, though, is that even though Kuhn would be operating with the 1-by-1 call sign, he would not ID with his ID. Instead, he IDs with my ID, so Alpha Echo 0 Sierra, because I am the registered owner of the 1-by-1 call sign. And that's something I was going back and forth for clarification with the IRL. I wanted to make sure that that's correct. And they confirmed that that's the way to do it. So, and they kind of stated that you can let any US station use your call and control it as a control operator. And the one thing is the station license is not tied to specific equipment. So you can go ahead and let other people use your call sign and operate under that. And that's the same situation with the 1-by-1 call sign. So now let's talk about operating with multiple stations for a special event. So we could do it like field day, where you're on the same location and you use the same 1-by-1 call sign, and you could even operate during the same time multiple times on different bands or modes. One thing that I wouldn't recommend is working the call sign on the same band and same mode. I'm not sure that that's really illegal to do. I don't think it is, but it's horribly confusing to anybody listening in the band and tuning through it, what's going on there. So I don't recommend that. The other option is to use multiple 1-by-1 call signs. And often that's done when you have different locations. For example, Route 66 or the 13 colonies do that. And that's the way we're going to do it this fall during our special event. So each of us applied for and received a separate call sign. And so that allows us to work at the same time, even on the same band. And I think more importantly, for our situation, it's nice for the hunters. They now have a reason to contact me, contact Rich and Kuhn, that before, when we shared the same call sign, wasn't quite obvious that we are in a different location, or even that there's an incentive for them to contact each of us. The next thing is optional QSL cards, but often it's a big thing. So that is not required, but it's a fun part. So it's kind of important when you run the special event to communicate whether QSL cards or certificates are available to the people that make contact with you. I recommend go ahead and use nice cards. Have them professionally printed and not just on a bubble chat printer. And if you go to, there are several sites out there like godprint.com where you can get cards for fairly cheap. Last time I looked up, you can get 250 cards for about $25 shipped to you, and that's with one side color. The big cost, of course, is sending out all these QSL cards. So there is very common for the special event station to ask for self-addressed stamped envelopes. And that reduces the cost quite a bit because you don't have to worry about the envelopes and primarily about the stamps. Again, when you do that, be sure to announce that both on air and also on your QRZ page or wherever you publicize your special event, so they know that they should be sending in a self-addressed letter with a stamp. It is very common though, so it's not unusual for anybody, and it's kind of expected quite often to see that. If you want to, you can announce a due date for those self-addressed stamped envelopes, and that's what we did during our first special event. And that way you can wait till that due date and you see how many people requested a QSL card. And now you can go ahead and print those cards, and you don't need to print excessive amounts. So that's very great when you don't know how many contacts you do. Another thing that I would recommend you is to design your card ahead of time. So that, even if you don't print them yet, that way you can display your cards on the QRZ page and people can see that you have a QSL card that will be sent out, and it's just kind of makes it more attractive, I think. I haven't done that last time around, but if you want to, you can also submit those contacts that you did for the special event to Logbook of the World. To do that, you open up the TQSL program from Logbook of the World. You go to call sign certificate, request a new call sign certificate, and in here are two options, the last two options, a special event call sign with multiple or with only one operator. So you choose the appropriate one and continue on the wizard. That uploads your certificate request to the ARRL, Logbook of the World. And then you just wait for the email to come back to you with the certificate. And once you get the certificate, you import the certificate and you can submit your logs to Logbook of the World. So getting more contacts, there are some tips that I have is publish an operating schedule on your event website or on QRZ with frequency. That's what we kind of did. We had a Google Docs spreadsheet that we embedded in our website, which had the times when we are on, along with what band and what mode we would be operating. So people could already kind of anticipate when we will be out there and don't have to listen for the whole week. Well, it was a weekend to weekend that we always reserve the call sign. And so they don't have to just randomly hope to get a contact with us, but they can go out and be on the right frequency with the right mode. Also, another great thing is to self-spot. Self-spotting either with the spotting software that people use, and you can also self-spot in Facebook, Twitter, or anything like that, where you know that there are amateur radio operators monitoring you, your social media. Other things that you can do to get more contacts is operate in conjunction with other things. Just like the training for the field day, they operated with PODA in order to get a little bit more QSOs in. You could also do that with the special event station. Or you can log into one of the nets, like the 3905 Century Club, Old Miss, a Hellschreiber net, or any of the other nets that are available. The one thing, if you do those, though, is to consider the side effects to QSL. So if you do a PODA activation, that means probably most contacts that you make want that PODA contact and not necessarily your special event QSL card. So that might drive up your QSOs, but might not increase your QSL card requests as much. The same thing with nets. When you operate a net, be sure to know what is really there about the QSL exchange requirement. For example, I work the 3905 Century Club net, and they require to have a QSL card exchange. And because of that, and they also have a bureau, I did not require a self-addressed stamped return envelope during any contacts for that net. Instead, I just sent all of the QSL card directly through their bureau, and the few stations that didn't participate in the Nets bureau, I just paid the postage myself and send it to them. So here are some QSL statistics from last year's event that we had. So we had a total of 519 QSOs, and out of that we got 39 requests for a QSL card. So that's about 8%. The interesting part that I found is that we got a higher request rate from digital modes than from single sideband. That kind of surprised me. One thing that is not included in those numbers are the 33 QSOs and QSL cards that I sent out from the 3905 Century Club net. So in summary, I say have fun and definitely operate a special event, request a one-by-one call sign. A couple of tips that I have is don't let propagation ruin your day. Instead of just requesting the one-by-one for one day, request it for multiple days and operate over multiple days. That way, if a day the propagation sucks, you can go ahead and operate a different day. Also, don't make it a job. Just operate when you have time and when you have fun. Don't try to operate the 24 hours straight through. Another thing is share the fun. Have some other people to work alongside you on the special event. Try new modes like I did. I was going to Hellschreiber. That's a digital mode that's totally analog. If you don't know what it is, go ahead and look it up. And as said in the beginning, technicians, that's your chance to experience another side of the amateur radio possibilities. There's nothing that prevents you from operating and requesting a one-by-one call sign. While I mostly have experience in the HF side, there is no reason that you couldn't operate on VHF, satellite, Echolink, or if you talk about it, why not on the repeater with a special event call sign in a one-by-one? So I say, I just want to remind you, it's amateur radio. You don't have to be perfect. If you make mistakes, that's just fine. And I just recommend you to go out there and just do it and request it. So at this point, I want to open up for any questions. If you have questions or discussions or comments or your own experience, if you have run a special event or operated under a one-by-one call sign.
Everyone is currently muted, so you should see an option next to your, well, for me, it's at the top or next to your name. You should be able to unmute to ask any questions of Claus here.
Okay, what do I have to do?
I think you just did that good of a job, Claus. I'd actually, at the beginning, jotted down a few notes of my own of things to ask, and you covered them all. So it looks like Skip has a question here. Go ahead, Skip.
Well, hi, Claus, and thanks very much for your presentation. And in your screen that showed all of the QSL cards, I noticed there was a local guy who I think is checked in here tonight. Richard, KE0NNE. And could we ask him, did he happen to come on your operation or participate in it, or did he know about it in advance, or just found you on, excuse me, on his screen when he was tuning the band? Over to you.
Yes, yeah, Skip. I just picked him up there. I caught him on the frequency and went back to him, knowing it was Claus, and he got back to me with the card, and I sent him mine. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was definitely my shortest QSO and distance-wise.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Claus? Yeah, Ron, go ahead.
Okay, not on special events, but on your last slide, there's a styrofoam cup on top of your radio. Is that for a speaker enhancement?
Yes.
Okay,
Just
pretty
like
clever.
the
I like that idea.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. That's clever. I like it. All right. Any other questions for Claus? All right. Seeing none, hearing none. Claus, thanks so much for your detailed presentation. Hopefully, everyone has a newfound desire, perhaps, to put together a special event or to at least take part. I think there's some opportunities. I'll actually discuss one here as we come up into our new business of a potential special event that we may desire as a club to join in. So thank you, Claus.
You're welcome.